Welcome back to A Celtic State of Mind. I'm Paul John Dykes, and this evening I'm joined by Kevin Graham. No, it's not a hair transplant, and Brian Degning. Now, I had to remind myself at half time there that we're 1-0 up. And then I decided I'm not going to start with the negative because it could really take the shine, Kevin, off a really accomplished first half performance. So let's talk about that first before we get into the incident that was so avoidable involving Near Beaton. Kevin Graham. First half performance, shape, tempo, a game plan. The guy who's been thrown in after 20 minutes against Preston comes up with the goods. It was all looking so positive. And I'm still going to turn it into a positive at the end. But up until that sending off, what was your feelings with that first half performance, Kevin Graham?
Completely surprising how cohesive it was, especially 15 minutes into the first half once we found our feet. Going forward, sometimes it's scintillating, the one-touch stuff, the two-touch stuff. The front three are just told, get your man turning and get by him. Just put them under pressure. The left back of Midtjylland is looking there for the taking. Ralston and Abada were absolutely running riot down that left-hand side. Yeah. And so it was really looking good. I loved the tempo. I loved the bravery. I loved the fact that they were all buying into it. I loved the fact that they were energetic. It was great to watch, just completely different from last season. When you saw in the first half, one bit I actually got off my seat and applauded, was Sorrow picking the ball up from deep, beating his man and just driving on. He saw the gap and went, I'm going for this. And it's very good to see players being so brave, attacking wise, after the conservatism of last season.
Well, you know, the same old in terms of the Celtic TV, because obviously I'm running behind you guys. I celebrated when I saw the goal flash coming in on Sky Sports, then I celebrated again when I seen the goal. Brian Degnan, we spoke about 20-odd minutes against Preston. Throw him in. He showed enough fibre to actually start a game like tonight. What a first-half performance. And by the way, it also shows you, and I'm picking this out of the comments, a bit of ruthlessness on Angie's part, where he reshaped that team and brought off the goal scorer who started so well.
Brilliant. It was kind of how I kind of, in my pre-match, I was maybe a wee bit optimistic, but I'm glad that it was vindicated because I think that we showed real attacking intent. Lia Bada was brilliant. I thought he looked excellent. He looked sharp. But I tell you who the guy I want to talk about in that first half, Stevie Welsh. I thought he was excellent. Yes. I think he's a boy we don't talk about enough. I thought his positional sense was fantastic. When Beaton went off injured, he was basically a one-man back four. He covered the grass. He's looked composed, mature. He's been vocal. Also Turnbull. I think Turnbull's been excellent. I think he's been aggressive. I think he's won the ball back, which is a side of his game that was questioned when we looked at how Angie's team played. I think Eddie's looked hungry. But yeah, so much to be excited about. And as I say, Abada, for me, he looks as if he's got that little something special. And I did think it made sense for him to come off to rejig. And I loved the reaction of Angie when he took him off, arm on the shoulder, telling him, look, you know, encouraging him and talking to him. And yeah, so many positives. But as I said, I just wanted to shout out Stevie Welsh because I think he gets overlooked.
He does.
I think we're going to see that, Brian. I think we see what we've actually seen so far as defenders are going to need to defend. And I know that sounds absolutely cliched and like normal defenders should defend, but you'll see defenders charging into space, making challenges that look last ditch. But that's the way this modern football is. You look at the Italian side in the Euros; they just let their two centre halves basically defend. If you need to defend, you defend. It doesn't matter your zone or that. Just go and defend the ball, and I think we're going to see a lot of that, and that seems to suit Welsh.
See, the big thing I noticed as well, Kev, about Welsh, I've spoken, Brian, quite a bit about his distribution, and I'm a big fan of Stephen Welsh. But because we're playing with the two fullbacks bombing on constantly, and Kevin quite rightly said, Ralston's link-up play with Abada was brilliant. It leaves gaps at the back, and Welsh seems to be the guy that's sweeping up, the old-fashioned sweeper, Kev. He's sweeping up both sides of the park, and he does it so well. He's strong in the tackle as well. He's playing like he's, he's got bags of experience. You sometimes forget he only played 21 games last season, but he is playing like a seasoned pro. So I was really chuffed about that. Unfortunately, it gets to that point, Kevin, where you're looking at Celtic last season. There was spells where we looked really good, sometimes against excellent opposition. 20 minutes here, 30 minutes there. We looked brilliant for a spell against AC Milan. We looked fantastic for a half against Lille. And I was watching that performance today, but the difference tonight is that it looks as though we could have kept that going for the 90. We could have kept the shape, we could have kept the tempo, and then disaster strikes when you're beat on. Now, it takes us back, and I know that we were critical of the referee, or some of us were critical of the referee against Rangers in January, but remember Beaton, given the ref a decision to make, Kevin, and he's sent off against Rangers. Up to that point, we were completely dominant for an hour, and it all falls to bits afterwards. But the first thing that the manager, Ange Postecoglou, does is he makes a tactical switch. And I think we're seeing all the differences and all the changes straight away, the ruthlessness of Ange Postecoglou. You brought up a comment earlier, I don't know if you can find it again, from our newest fan in Australia. He's up at 20 to 5 in the morning watching Ange Postecoglou's team. Celtic are his new team. Hopefully ACSOM's his new podcast. Get subscribing, and I think we're in for a bit of a roller coaster ride this season. Brian, how disappointed are you in near Beaton? As I say, I had to remind myself we were 1-up at half-time due to the disappointment of that decision. I mean, we know he'd taken a head knock, but he'd won it. We knew the guy had dived. He was going to get booked for it, and not only pointed at him, he went back for second helpings, and he gets sent off. It's a stupid sending off.
It's a shambolic decision, and am I disappointed? Aye. Am I surprised? No, because I had said previously that I thought Dane Murray should have started tonight, because people talk about the experience of Beaton, and I said fair enough, but before we came on air, I had said that I think his positional sense is pretty bad at times. I think his concentration's poor, and he showed that against when he let the one wing Buffalo past him against them a while ago, and then tonight where the boys run by him. It's just positional sense. And yeah, his reaction's poor, his reaction's stupid. But he should never have been in the position in the first place. And the fact is, look, the way that wee guy dived, I'd love to give him a lot more than a finger in the face. However, that's not how you act as a professional footballer. And if you're in there as that experienced defender, he looked like the youngster in that team. It's so frustrating. And you know what? The signs were there for me. Some of his distribution was lax, and and I thought again, so many times he caught out, and Sorrell was having to come and cover him.
22 seconds on the clock, Brian. 22 seconds on the clock. He lost the ball. Beat on.
Aye, and I just thought it was a worry for me for the start. And look, I'm that guy that likes to say "I told you so." Right, I love it, but I'm gutted the fact that it's in this situation, because it was a poor decision for a player who should know better but doesn't. And if that costs us the game, that will be maddening, because there's so much positivity, so much good about how we've played. That said, I think we'll look so good in the counter-attack. I still think we'll be all right, because I don't think Midtjylland have looked that dangerous, if I'm honest.
No, you're right. Now, I pointed out there, Kev, as Brian quite rightly said, Beaton had given the ball away a few times. Within the first 30 seconds, he's given the possession away, despite the fact that we started with the ball. And it was just stupidity. 8 years as a first teamer at Celtic, you expect better from near Beaton. But here's an opportunity for the man who Brian thought should have started tonight. For Dane Murray to be a bit of a hero. Here's an opportunity for the kid. Now, I've been really impressed with him in pre-season, Kevin, and he's playing alongside Stephen Welsh. And you know what? I think he's up to the task. He's only 18. He's been at Celtic since he was 6 years of age. I really do. I think he's up to the task tonight.
He's one of the guys, as soon as you saw him in pre-season, you thought, you've got ability there, Pally. But getting back to near Beaton, I just want him to keep him walking. Walk straight out that front door, straight down the London Road and get on the first flight to anywhere. Just go. You've been 8 years there. We'll discuss the whole failings tomorrow, why we're left with near Beaton at centre-half. But this is right. This is Dane Murray's time. This is a story. This could be a fairy tale story for the young fella. Break into the team and not get out of it. I'm more absolutely devastated that Abada's been took off. What a breath of fresh air. And if they're going to have more of the ball, which is not guaranteed, by the way, it's not guaranteed that they're going to have more of the ball against the 10 men, Abada would have been a great out ball. And what I've actually noticed from the pre-season games, this game we've been playing it longer, more often than what we've done in every pre-season game. So again, that's just the players getting used to Ange Postecoglou's style. But this is a very interesting big half time for Postecoglou. What does he do in that dressing room? This is his chance to make an early mark on the Celtic side and get the full support behind him.
Yeah, I would just love to thank everybody for getting involved tonight in the ACSOM Bulletin. 1,700 live tuning in. Hopefully there's plenty of you tuning in from Australia and Japan, as well as our regulars. We will try and get as many of your comments up as possible. I can understand why so many people like Kevin Graham are annoyed at Near Beaton. Kevin's putting him on a bus down London roads, and we'll see where he ends up, Kevin. But as you say, Dane Murray, Brian Degnan is going to be the hero tonight, because I'm looking at the performance in that first half. There was a belief. Ryan Christie comes in for a lot of flack. I thought, and we've not mentioned him yet, I thought Ryan Christie was excellent in that first half.
Imagine.
You know what, Paul, you're right. I said at the start of the game that my concern was Christie, how he's going to play. But you know what? I'll happily take it back because I think he's been excellent. I think we've seen the best version of him. He's not been selfish. It's not been the Christie show. He's worked hard. You saw his reaction. Seeing when he scored, his reaction was telling. He was screaming. He was buzzing. He's been strong in the tackle. I think his passing's been pretty good. I think if he's ever lost the ball, he's won it back. So I've been impressed with this Ryan Christie tonight. I think that maybe I was being harsh earlier, and I'm happy to eat my words about it. But yeah, you're right. He was spot on. He wasn't firing shots off for the sake of firing shots. He looked hungry for it, and just a number of positives for that first half. Can I just say the other positive, by the way? Now I know we've spent the last year fighting amongst ourselves, Celtic fans, no, literally, unlike our rivals across the city. But I've missed these, by the way. The atmosphere at Celtic Park, even watching it, it's goosebump stuff. It's been so good to see the fans back. I've loved every second of it. Beaton's madness aside.
But that doesn't last long because Joe's coming in to fall out with me by saying that I said Christie fell off a cliff yesterday. I did, yes, I did, Joe. But on Monday I said he should play tonight. So I think having seen his first 45 under Ange Postecoglou in a competitive game, I've got to say it, And by the way, one thing that I did notice was him and Abada were switching wings, which I love to see because, it really puts panic into the defence of any side when the wingers are switching like that. Now, here we go. I know we're feeling a bit positive and people are saying we're as upbeat as we've been in a long time here. Kevin Graham, it's time we spoke about Tony Ralston up that right. I mean, listen, right? What did he do wrong? How can we criticise Tony Ralston for that first half performance? I thought he played really well.
We can only comment what's in front of us in that 45 minutes there in front of us. He was fine. He was energetic. He was strong in the challenge. He was a bit rash in that challenge, right enough, down at the corner flag. But he's got that in his game. But I'm going to bring up a comment here by Philip DeMarco. This is what I want Celtic to be in the second half. Just be brave. Just be brave and be positive. And let's see what happens. Let's not shrink into ourselves. I think we've got another goal in us here. I really do think we've got another goal, and I'm really, really looking forward to what Postecoglou can do at half time with this side and how we're going to do it, how we're going to come out in the second half.
We're on the park, and what an avatar Philip's got there, and a great retro kit, the Maestro. Second half, let's see how we play. Let's see what Ange does. I'm looking forward to it, and I'll see you all at full time. Thanks, everybody, all 1,700 of you, for tuning in, and I'll catch you at full time.